Hey everyone, Vindicus here. I want to talk about who Anakin Skywalker's father is. Now, there's no real solid answer for this. It's more of a theory supported by evidence from the movies. Now, a lot of people think that Darth Plagueis is Anakin's father. I strongly disagree with this because I think that Plagueis being Anakin's father would diminish the entire saga entirely. No, I think that Palpatine is Anakin's father. And here's why. Now, in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine was talking to Anakin at the opera about Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
He explained to him that Plagueis taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then he goes on to explain that Plagueis could influence the midichlorians to create life, alluding to the fact that Anakin was created from the midichlorians rather than some kind of anomaly of the Force. Now, Palpatine also says that Plagueis could even stop people from dying. Now, it is important that Palpatine did say that Plagueis taught his apprentice everything he knew. Because why else would you say that? There would be no point to even mention that. Just go on to explain that there was a Sith named Darth Plagueis that could stop people from dying and influence the midichlorians to create life. No, see, I think that since there's the rule of two, that there could only be two Sith in the galaxy at a time, a master and an apprentice, Plagueis was the master, Palpatine was the apprentice, that it's kind of the obligation of the master to teach their apprentice everything that they could possibly learn, so that when they're ready to kill their master, that they could then preserve that teaching, they could preserve that knowledge from their master and teach it on to the next generation of Sith over generations, preserving the knowledge. I don't think Plagueis would let all his research and knowledge and studies and scientific experimentations with the Force go to waste, die with him. I don't think that at all. So I think he did teach Palpatine everything he knew. And then Palpatine decided it was time to kill his master, so he killed him in his sleep. After killing his master, Palpatine then formed a plan to take over the galaxy and bring the Sith back to power. He wanted to be the leader of the galaxy and control it with his empire. But he had to make a plan to achieve this. So, he had to gain the trust of the Republic and the Senate. So he became a senator of his home planet of Naboo. From there, he would start manipulating from the inside. But the Jedi are also in the way. You can't just form an empire. The Jedi wouldn't allow it. The Jedi would put a stop to that immediately. So, you have to get rid of the Jedi. How do you do this? Take them out from the inside, same way you're manipulating the Senate from the inside. So, Palpatine used the teachings from his master to create life. He created Anakin, putting him on a remote world far away from the Republic's reach. They even go into detail in The Phantom Menace to explain this twice, that the Republic does not reach Tatooine. It's too far in the Outer Rim. They don't have control over it. The Hutts have control over Tatooine. Why do this? Well, one, Tatooine's not really the greatest place to grow up. So, that pisses you off from the start, that you live on this crappy ass planet, subconsciously. Then, the Jedi wouldn't be able to detect you as easily if you were born into the Republic. So you can't become a student of the Jedi immediately from birth. Palpatine wanted Anakin to age a little bit, to get comfortable, to love his mom, and to, get used to his life that he has already for a little while. Palpatine also chose Shmi Skywalker specifically for his plan. Why choose a female slave to be the host of your Force baby? Well, you would be born a slave, which would then build up the anger inside of you that you are a slave from birth. That's gotta suck. And your life is this now. He could have literally had Anakin be born into anybody. He could have chose a high-ranking political leader, and he could have been born into a lavish life. But why do that? You had to feed the anger into Anakin from a very, very young age, from birth. So, I bet you're probably wondering, Vindicus, how would Palpatine know that the Jedi were going to find Anakin and take him into the Jedi? Well, he planned that. If you watch The Phantom Menace carefully and closely enough, it's all set up from the beginning. Now, there's certain things that are obvious, but certain things that you gotta look a little deeper into, and it makes sense, and it actually follows the story if you pay close attention. Who made the blockade around Naboo? Trade Federation, right? Well, who influenced the Trade Federation to make the blockade in the first place? This mysterious guy, Darth Sidious, also known as Palpatine, made the Trade Federation create the blockade around Naboo. Upon creating the blockade, he knew that Jedi would be involved to diplomatically try to solve the situation. The Jedi then would go to the planet below after Palpatine told the Viceroy to kill the Jedi.
And the Jedi?
The Chancellor should never have brought them into this. Kill them immediately.
He knew that the Viceroy weren't going to be able to kill the Jedi. That's impossible. Alright. Battle droids against Jedi, that's a joke. He knew that. So he knew from that point that the Jedi would then try to go to the planet below and rescue the Queen from the Trade Federation invasion, or blockade, or whatever. I'm assuming that Palpatine had the Trade Federation then take over that hangar that battle droids were occupying and had all those pilots on their floor. That Royal Naboo ship, I'm assuming that Palpatine had the Trade Federation also cut the fuel line or damage it somehow or destroy the hyperdrive generator or whatever. So then the Jedi and the Queen would go to her royal ship. They would take off. Not having enough fuel, where's the closest planet to Naboo? Tatooine. After the pilot says there's not enough fuel to get us to Coruscant, Obi-Wan says there's a settlement nearby on planet Tatooine. What's the settlement? Mos Espa. Where does Anakin live? Mos Espa. So then the Jedi land on the planet. Palpatine knew that the Jedi would then eventually discover Anakin because they usually would find children across the galaxy that are strong in the Force and take them into the Jedi Temple to be trained as Jedi. So he knew that pretty quickly a Jedi would find Anakin after landing on the planet and on that very city. So after finding Anakin, Qui-Gon, the Jedi, then decides that Anakin is the Chosen One. Anakin was masked as the Chosen One. The prophecy of the Chosen One fits perfectly with Anakin, intentionally, so that the Jedi would not refuse to take Anakin in. Yes, there was some problems getting back, but I'm sure Palpatine didn't expect that problems would arise in the council. But Anakin did eventually get in, as planned. So now, Palpatine planted the seed of his plan in the Jedi ranks. Everything is now set in motion. He's become Chancellor of the Senate, and he has his son, creation, put into the Jedi ranks. So, from that point on, Palpatine started manipulating Anakin from the very start, talking to him, being like a father figure to him, tricking him, making him think other things than what the Jedi were teaching him, slowly and surely turning him against the Jedi. Palpatine then convinced the Senate that the Republic needed a military. So then this would form in their heads as later on they would not oppose the idea of a militaristic government. Creating this war, Palpatine knew the Jedi would get involved in it. This would make Anakin get involved into the war, making Anakin learn militaristic strategies and war tactics and all these things that would later be used to rule the Empire as Lord Vader. Now we get to Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine then finally reveals to Anakin that he is the Sith Lord. He wants Anakin to join him. After 23 years of manipulating Anakin to go against the Jedi, he thinks that Anakin will turn. He's planned so many ideas into Anakin's head, making him think that the Jedi were not what he thought they were, that they are hypocrites, Anakin losing his mom, and then later finding out that he might lose his wife. Well, he wants to save his wife. That's not the only reason. He wants power. He wants more power than the Jedi are giving him. There's other things along with that. It's just been building up over the past 23 years. But the last thing, the biggest thing to push him over the edge was his wife dying and him wanting to save his wife, Padme. Palpatine then tells Anakin he doesn't know the secret to saving his wife's life. That's only been done by one person. But remember earlier, Plagueis taught Palpatine everything he knew. Plagueis wouldn't just leave out things to let his work go to waste, remember? Palpatine did know how to save someone from dying. But he wasn't going to tell Anakin that, because Anakin would just take that knowledge and leave. There would be no real motive for Anakin to turn anymore. So he kept that secret to himself. I mean, what was he supposed to say? Anakin said, just help me save my wife from dying. Palpatine had to quickly say, I don't know. I don't know it. The master knew it. It was only achieved by one person. I don't know. Yes, come up with something. You couldn't just say, eventually, buddy. Eventually. Not now. Like, come on. Palpatine then has his apprentice Vader, the person that the Jedi were close to. And he has access to the Jedi Temple now. He just walks in and be able to massacre all the Jedi, while he had his clones execute Order 66 and destroy the Jedi across the galaxy. This was all planned from the start. That's why Order 66 was even made, to destroy the Jedi. Because he knew he had to eventually turn Anakin to the dark side to destroy the Jedi. To have already have infiltrated the Jedi Order and destroy them. The clones were made 10 years before Episode 2. They started being made 10 years before Episode 2. So Order 66 had to be implemented from the start. Which means from Episode 1. Because that was 10 years ago. Episode 1 was 10 years ago. So it was all planned from the start. And that's evidence right there. Order 66 shows everything. Palpatine didn't expect Anakin to lose the fight with Obi-Wan. He thought Anakin would win and destroy Obi-Wan. But that didn't happen. So Palpatine goes to Mustafar and saves his apprentice, brings him back to Coruscant, and he has to save his life. Anakin is hanging on by a thread of life, because he was in pretty bad shape. He lost all his limbs, and he was burnt to his crisp. He was destroyed. It was awful. He was about to die. And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, he's all better again? Machines did that? Just put arms on him and make him all better? No. He was about to die, and you want me to believe that droids just fixed him? No. And where was Palpatine during that time? Palpatine was not even in the room. Palpatine was gone. Palpatine was stealing Padme's life because she was dying. The droids don't understand the Force. They're like, what the hell? Why is she dying? We don't understand. They even said that. For reasons we don't understand, she's losing the will to live or something like that. Because droids don't understand the Force. They just see her dying, like, why is she dying? This doesn't make sense. Someone do something. She's, what is going on? Because Palpatine is stealing her life and putting it into Anakin. That's the secret to saving someone from death. It's a dark side Force power. You have to steal someone's life and put it into somebody else that you want to save. That's how it works. You can't just go, oh, I heal you and you're saved. No, you have to steal someone's life and put it into somebody else. That's how that power works. I figured it out. So, Palpatine saved Anakin's life, and at the same time that Padme dies, Anakin is revived. Same exact time. That's not a coincidence. That was intentional. Now, Vader is like, where's Padme? Palpatine's back. All of a sudden, he's just back. Okay? Vader's like, where's Padme? Is she alright? And Palpatine's like, oh, you killed her. How would Palpatine know that? Palpatine didn't see Padme on Mustafar. Palpatine didn't even know Padme was involved, did he? How would Palpatine know anything about Padme at that point? Last time Palpatine probably saw Padme was in the Senate when he was giving his speech converting the Republic to an empire. So, that answer is actually the answer to Palpatine killing Padme. So, everything was carefully planned from the very beginning. That Palpatine orchestrated everything, created Anakin for this one singular purpose, to make him a slave to the dark side. Do you see the parallel now? Anakin was born a slave, and he was a slave his entire life to the dark side. That's good writing right there. That's a parallel. Boom. So, Palpatine is the biggest asshole ever. He only cares about himself. He doesn't care about Anakin, even though it makes it seem like he does during the entire prequels and during the originals too. It makes it seem like Palpatine actually cares about Vader and Anakin. He cares about himself only. He doesn't care about anyone. He's the darkest, most manipulative, most vile person ever to live. And he pulled freaking blinders over everybody. Nobody saw his intentions. So, it was very carefully planned. Palpatine did everything from the start. And the theory with Plagueis creating Anakin serves what point now? Just experimentation? Oh look, I created somebody. Woo! It doesn't really add up. Why Plagueis would have created Anakin. It had to be Palpatine. It makes perfect sense if Palpatine did it. It makes no sense if Plagueis did it. The entire saga would fall apart and not make any sense if Plagueis created Anakin versus Palpatine. Palpatine's Anakin's father. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like, comment below any thoughts you have on this. Subscribe for more videos. This is Vindicus, signing out.